Hello. Yes, formalities out of the way. My first name's Sky Huddleston, my first name's Sky, last name Huddleston. I'm a mechanical engineer. I own rocketmassheater.com. Now that we have the formalities out of the way, let us commence.
Yes. It is nice to meet you. What was your name?
Sierra Kilo Yankee.
What?
Sierra Kilo Yankee. Sky, S-K-Y, as in not my first choice, I assure you.
Sky?
Yes, of course.
Nice to meet you, Sky.
Yes.
Yes. Did you enjoy your introduction with me?
Did I enjoy the introduction? I suppose so, but regardless, how should I put this? I'm not necessarily here to practice dating. I have no interest in the female half of the species. I'm here, however, to practice my mannerisms and speaking so that I may become better adept at conversing with other hominid morphologies.
I'm your gal.
Yes, so...
Here I am. In all my glory. As a man, what you can practice is your inflection, okay?
That makes sense. Oh, another thing too, regarding hobbies, I'm very much into Cyclopean masonry and antediluvian civilizations of yore, such as the large megalithic structures of the Andes found throughout Pumapunku, Sacsayhuaman, Tiwanaku, Pisac, Cusco, Gobekli Tepe, and so forth.
What?
These are the various antediluvian structural sites that were constructed by late Pleistocene-era civilizations. These enigmatic structures serve purposes that are beyond our current understanding because they derive from a different tech tree.
Huh? Can I teach you?
Well, let's take, for example, the Giza Plateau. So the Great Pyramids of Giza, something that we're all intimately familiar with. Dr. Joseph Davidovitz subjected the casing stones of the Giza Pyramids to X-ray scattering spectroscopy analysis, and what he discovered were micro-bubbles and fibrous carbon inclusions and a high natron concentration that effectively proved that they were made using a synthetic geopolymer tincture. So much information was derived from this X-ray scattering spectroscopy analysis that he was able to ascertain and reverse engineer the actual solution of natron salts to determine the exact ratio of geopolymer admixture to reproduce his own megalithic structures, which he then proceeded to do.
I can't. I can't. You're making me cry.
It's okay. I do that to a lot of people.
Is it okay? It's so boring listening to that.
Boring? Oh, no, it's quite fascinating.
I hate this.
Oh, what if I told you?
Look, I'm crying. Look, you made me cry.
What if I told you that within these structures could lie the secret to the genesis of humanity?
I know, that's why I'm crying, because it's so beautiful, you know?
Well, Hesiod the Great, Hesiod the Shepherd or Hesiod the Great, who was primary writers of the pre-Hellenic Greeks, describes 5 ages of man. He describes a golden age, a silver age, and a bronze age, and then he describes the age and the iron age.
I'm overwhelmed with emotion, my love. I've never met a robot so compatible with me. Tell me more. Now.
Well, so the 5 ages of man correspond. So it's not just the Greeks. These anthropological mythoses have strong correspondent overlap.
Yes.
Whether you're talking of the Hopis, the Vedas, the ancient Indians, the ancient Chinese, they all have different names for identical mythos, and this is colloquially known as the Archaean mythos. is the collective.
Oh my god, yes.
And Hesiod's first age is described as the Golden Age. And if you look at some plasma-based cosmological models, which immense research by Dr. Von Scott and Will Thornhill.
You're making me angry. You are making me angry.
Regardless.
I'm overrun with emotion. Tell me more.
Well, so, tens of thousands of years ago, Hesiod describes what the first age of man, which was the Golden Age. And in this age, the titans of creation had breathed life into the modern hominid species, right? Into man. Now, this is described as a time when people aged backwards, quite literally, is what Hesiod describes. And furthermore,
oh my gosh.
Where should I put this? Mortals never died, and when they did die, they became what were known as daemons, which is the root word for demons, but completely different in their actual practice. And these daemons would continue to roam the earth, spreading their wisdom among all of life, right? It's described as when Gaia, which is the earth, right? Gaia existed as a single universal universal life form, right? So the Gaia, the earth, was connected via a sort of consciousness grid or matrix, if you will, through which all life was interconnected. And now this sounds like crazy woo-woo stuff, right? But you could actually look at some of the research papers behind this. I would like to point to the works of Sir Hammerhoff and Sir Roger Penrose, and what they discovered by looking at various microtubule structures in each individual nerve cell of the brain is they discovered a phenomena through which quantum interactions can happen at a subcellular level. And so indeed, the non-locality of consciousness could indeed be an actual thing as discovered by Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hammerhoff. And this would allow for consciousness.
My clitoris.
I'm sorry, what? What was the question?
I want my clitoris to be engaged, and you're doing it for me.
Oh, well, I mean, if we wanted to do that directly, I would recommend using resonant frequency, which could be achieved through heterodyning. And heterodyning is a process through which you can take two beams of energy, right, at two different frequencies, and when the beams cross the paths, which I know sounds cliche, Ghostbusters, right? But no, this is a real phenomenon.
What's Ghostbusters? I don't know what Ghostbusters is.
Well, it was a film that was shot during the late 20th century. I hear that it was a blockbuster, but regardless, you can use a
what does
process
regardless mean?
Irrespective is a synonymous word.
Oh, you. Why do we have two eyes?
Why do we have two eyes? Binocular vision. It allows you to achieve depth perception and redundancy in case you lose one eye for whatever reason. Another cool survival trick, if you ever practice
string theory,
is that you can actually cover one eye during the day and expose it during the night, and you can keep your night vision so that whenever the sun sets, your one eye is very well adept towards seeing in the dark. So if ever you are lost in an environment where you have to retain night vision, just go ahead and cover one eye perpetually during the day.
String theory? Explain string theory now.
Well, string theory is a bunch of hocus pocus. So string theory, I'm going to turn this phone off. String theory was largely perpetuated and created to try to solve some of the gaps in conventional quantum modeling. It was also created to try to harmonize general relativity and special relativity with the various quantum mechanical phenomena that was emerging and measured in the experiments, which is completely untenable because quantum mechanics and relativity are mutually incompatible.
What are NFTs?
For a whole host. Well, I don't know anything about coding. I don't know anything about software. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I just practice anthropology and astronomy as a hobby.
Okay.
So I know nothing. I know nothing of computer technology specifically.
Got you. Look at this fucking idiot. Look at him. He's pathetic.
Yes,
Doesn't know
I
what
know.
NFTs are.
I don't know everything. I'm a loser.
Oh, boo. Boo.
Boo, yes.
Boo. You
Yes,
know nothing.
ban me, banish me for being the fool that I am.
Bad.
How dare I discuss Cyclopean masonry and not know how NFTs
Idiot.
work?
Describe smart contracts.
I don't know anything about smart contracts. I know that they're a thing and that the blockchain facilitates their existence. I've heard from some of my peers who are subject matter experts in the crypto world that smart contracts effectively decentralize contract enforcement by getting HAL 9000 to be the enforcer rather than the traditional court system, which I'm all for that because it provides for the market a greater degree of flexibility and options, which can facilitate a higher degree of trade and commerce and etc. So I'm all for smart contracts, even though I don't understand their mechanism.
Yes. Yes. Who's your favorite streamer? Destiny?
I don't do streaming. Genuinely, I don't even own a TV, and I only use the internet to facilitate commerce, to email back and forth with people, and I use Discord to sharpen my conversation skills. But as far as entertainment goes, I'm currently reading an old metallurgy book from the 1930s. That's what I do for entertainment, is read old books.
Are you married? How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
You don't look old, like 28.
Pretty close. I'm 27.
Yeah.
And no, I am not married, nor do I intend to change that status anytime soon.
Are you interested in romance?
No.
At all?
I'm not interested in sexual proclivities. I have eschewed all of the carnal cravings of the flesh, and in favor, I choose to concentrate all of my creative forces towards the genesis of a new species that will be infinitely superior to the contemporary hominid by every measure. I'm sorry, what?
Wait, you're good. You're really good.
Good at what?
Have you ever had a girlfriend?
No.
And you don't want
one? I've never had the desire.
Do you watch, How did you find my stream? I
was given a random Discord invite link from somebody that I don't know, and they said to come on here and go on to a stream, and so here I am.
Do you wink it?
Do I what?
Wink it.
Do it. Link it? I don't know.
Explode.
I'm not sure. I'm not even. Do I masturbate? No, I do not. I have eschewed all carnal cravings of the flesh in favor of concentrated my creative forces towards the endeavor and emergence of a new species.
That's good. You have ultra productivity.
Some would say that, but I always find myself to be... I hold myself to a standard that most people would consider impossible. I hold myself to the standards of the men of renown and consistently fall short of that because I am not a neo-Nephilim hominid.
What the fuck? I know he's trolling. You're trolling.
Oh no, I'm not trolling. I'm being 100% genuine. This is genuinely the person that I am all the time.
What do you think about your appearance?
What about my appearance? Yeah, I'm a dirty boy. Maybe I should have shaved. But you know what? Quite frankly, I just have lost all fucks to give about what other people think about me. I do what I need to do. And if people don't like it, oh well, I don't care about them. They're not going back to Zep Tepi and I am, so fuck them.
Oh, fuck, dude. Wait, you're so good. You're so good. He's so good. What the? I don't know anything of what you're saying.
This is just ancient human anthropology.
Right. Okay.
Well, I mean, we haven't even discussed the merits of the Ficke-Jacob cycle, or how modern combustion technology can render obviate the grid to be redundant. We haven't even gone over the work of Eric Dollard that has torn a new butthole in the modern American electrical grid, even though it's actually a mesh, not a grid by definition, and how it's falling apart. Nobody has any will or budgetary concerns. There's no political willpower to fix the grid. Nobody even knows how to fix the grid, because most of the electrical engineers that built the analog grid back in the day are long dead, and with it went the institutionalized knowledge on how to fix it.
Bro, what's your IQ?
Well, it depends on which test, but according to the Stanford Binet test, I clocked in at 148, which
148?
148.
I feel like you're higher than that.
Well, that's according to the Stanford Binet. So different tests, you get different results. I tend to go with the lowest test that I've ever clocked in at, because that's the one that's most reliable.
What's the highest?
What's the highest? Well, again, different. How do you compare each individual test? The highest test, the highest IQ test that I got was a 167, if I recall correctly. But IQ is just one very specific metric, and the problem with intelligence quotient tests, irrespective of whether you're using the Stanford Binet or the various tests that Mensa provides, is that the further you get away from the mean, right, the less accurate that test actually becomes at measuring somebody's psychological ability to adapt, because that's what IQ measures, right? It measures abstract thinking and psychological adaptation speeds. That's primarily the metric that it's measuring, and the further you deviate from the median, the less accurate it becomes, which is why people that consistently score high on the IQ test tend to score within a large degree of variance compared to people that are closer towards the median. So to actually put a number on this would actually be exceptionally difficult. So that's why I just go with that.
I love this guy, dude. Big brain. Look at it. Big brain. Why'd you come here? Why?
Oh, well, I figured it might be an interesting experience, and thus far it has been. Well, relatively interesting, all things considered.
This isn't a character?
No, this is me, how I am all the time. I mean, you don't have to believe it now. I really don't care, but...
Do you have, like, anything mental going on with you?
Do I have anything mental? No, yeah. No. I'm...
Like, do you have, like,
as far as I'm aware, psychologically stable, and as well as any human can be, I suppose. I know when I went into the armed forces, when I joined the Army, the recruiter insisted on me hiring a licensed private psychologist to underwrite me for sanity, which he promptly did, and then I went into the armed forces and did my stint there for a time, and after being discharged, I started a business, and here I am now with a wood stove and pellet stove manufacturing company. It's rocketmassheater.com's the website, but that's just a stepping stone towards something greater, because after I exit this company, retire from this current company, I'm going to more seriously focus on my pulse detonation engines, which will be used for shaft horsepower, trucking, logistics, point-to-point model, drone flight and package parcel delivery. The low EGTs allow for the exceptional applications for stealth drone technology, along with the hydrosonic cavitation pump, which permits the use of any combustible fluid in the design without adjustment. So it's a fairly interesting system, all things considered. We can get into the details if you like, but we don't have to if you consider it boring.
And you're only 27.
Yes.
So would you say that you're built different?
A lot of people would say that. I consider my build to be of a disgusting human morphology, and I would rather be not human, but that's just me.
Are you happy happy?
Am I happy?
Yes.
Yes, I would say so. All things considered, I would say that I am satisfied with the current trajectory of my life. Yes.
What's the end goal?
The end goal. So the which one?
I don't. The most interesting one.
Well, the most interesting end goal is to literally rediscover the antediluvian secrets of the Archaeon and become gods.
I don't get it.
Are you familiar with the concept of economics? I'm sure you are. Most people are.
Economics, yes.
Yes, of course, right? The economics serves to maximize the efficiency and the allocation of scarce resources. It economizes scarce resources. That's what economics do. It economizes things, right? But what if we lived in a civilization with universal understanding in such a way, so knowledge is the how, understanding is the why. And if we had universal understanding of the omniverse, we would be able to achieve a post-resource scarce civilization through which the concept of economics and money and monetary systems themselves become obsolete entirely, and people are left only to their own imaginations to forge a new destiny, image, and purpose for their existence.
He said the magic word. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
No, it's fine. That's
I know about the Omniverse from like Ben 10.
Well, no.
And then you
Omni meaning all.
Omni, then you turn into the alien.
I don't know what a Ben 10 is. I'm using the phrase
10.
Omni here. I don't know what a Ben 10 is.
It's okay.
Omni is
Thank you. What's up?
Omni is Latin for all. Omni is Latin for all. So I'm using the word omni first, meaning
Omni-liberal.
Right? Well, liberal
like
just means
destiny.
plenty.
He said the key words. He loves DGG.
What's DGG?
Destiny. You love it? Yes or no?
I don't know what destiny in what context.
Liberal. Omni. The omni.
Well, liberal just means plenty. I need you to elucidate here a little bit because I'm not sure if I understand what
Alacrity.
you're trying to...
Alacrity?
Alacrity? I'm not familiar.
What
with
are
the
your
concept.
religious beliefs?
A lot of people would describe me as a neo-polyhellenist.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What was it again?
A lot of people might describe me as a neo-polyhellenist.
Who the fuck is calling me? Neapolitan. Pizza. Neapolitan.
Neo-polyhellenist, yes. Oh, yeah. You asked me earlier where I got the link from. I just got the message. Malibu gave me the link.
Oh, Malibu Mafia.
Yes.
Yeah, the WSB
Malibu
guy
Mafia gave
the-
me. So I'm
with
sorry.
the
I didn't know the answer off the top of my head, but you asked it.
Neopoly. Neopoly. Neopoly.
Neo is Latin for new. Poly is Latin for many. So a new mini Hellenist, and Hellenist refers to the Hellenic Greek era and their various mythological, anthropological...
Hellenism. Oh no! Sorry, I misheard you. I thought you said Neapolitan ice cream. But of course I know what this is. Yeah. You know, I really enjoy that how Hellenism represents the totality of Hellenic culture, understood as a body of humanistic and classical ideals associated with ancient Greece. I understand.
Well, I would also extend, so my
12
I wouldn't call them
Olympian.
religious beliefs, but my anthropological speculations into the Pleistocene era happenings extends to beyond just Greece. It's just that the Hellenic Greeks had some of the more detailed mythological oral stories and traditions, but There is strong correspondence with the Vedas, with the Hopis, and the Incans, the Aztecs, Quetzalcoatl. You look at virtually every antediluvian mythos, even the Nordic myths, right? Yeah. Once you start piecing things together, you actually see you see a pattern where a multiplicity of ancient cultures are describing the same phenomena, but they name them different things, right? So, Thor, right? Saturn, all of these different gods, right? Well, a lot of them are actually the same gods, but being described under a different cultural lens.
Can you what happens when we die?
Well, I would recommend smoking a fuckload of DMT to figure that out. That's what I did. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that it is beyond the capability and limitations of the English language.
Why?
Why? Well, the more I tell you why, the less accurate it becomes.
Why?
Well, it's an experiential thing that cannot be communicated because it is so complex that it transcends the axioms of our absolutes.
What? I don't get it.
So, take for example, the ancient, thought debates, right? So let's look at free will versus determinism, right? Only one can be correct, of course, right?
Oh.
What if I told you that they're both right and they're both wrong simultaneously?
Then
And I have no way to describe that using the limitations of the English language, but I assure you...
I don't get it. What does that have to do with it?
Do with what?
With what happens after death. What does that have to do?
Everything happens. Everything happens after you die.
Why?
Why? So you experience every living life form's lifetime on every planet, in the entire cosmos, in all the universes. You even experience what it's like to be a rock, to be all the rocks, to be a star, all the stars. You live every lifetime. You live every lifetime and non-lifetime possible forever in the entire omniverse.
Thank you, Junior.
Which again sounds absolutely bonkers, but you smoke enough DMT and it makes sense.
Why? How did you get there?
How did I get there? I smoked a fuckload of DMT.
Yeah, but how did what was the process of okay, wait, actually tell me about that. You smoked a bunch of DMT, then what? Or what was the process in stages?
Oh gosh, here it was so long and convoluted. Here I wrote the thoughts down. Let me find my notations. One moment, hold up.
You're so weird, but it's so you're good. You're so fucking good. I hope it's real. I know it's probably real. Yeah. I don't think he's capping.
Here we go. So a lot of people on DMT will talk about patterns and shapes that they see. And sometimes for a lot of people that lasts a long time. I blew through that almost instantly, right? About 5 seconds, pretty early in the trip, right? But then what appeared before me were, humanoid silhouettes, which performed a sort of soul surgery on my very consciousness. No anesthesia, surgery on the mind. And I can tell you that it was like a person fighting for their life, having a heart attack, being resuscitated over and over and over again. Except instead of your heart, it's your soul. And now imagine
what is soul? What is soul?
Your consciousness.
My soul is my consciousness.
Yes, your mind, your consciousness, your soul, your spirit, whatever euphemism you would like to use to describe the nature of consciousness.
Okay.
And now imagine going through this struggling fight for thousands of years at a time, constantly. and you would switch back and forth between a material and immaterial realm. And the immaterial realm is more real than reality itself. So this reality that we experience on a daily basis is so fake by comparison to what you experience on a genuine full DMT trip that it's like Second Life RPG video game circa 1999.
What?
And now it gets even further. So, how should I put this? This is only the beginning.
Ah.
After this soul surgery, if you will, what ends up happening is that each hemisphere of your brain has two actual consciousness. Now, this sounds really strange, but if you actually look at the white paper and people that have their hemispheres bifurcated, right? So a lot of people that have a lot of horrible seizures will have to have a bifurcation between their left and right hemisphere. And when the bifurcation occurs to where each hemisphere can no longer communicate with each other, what ends up happening is each side of the human body takes on a slightly different personality. For example, if you cover one eye and not the other, and you ask the person in question what their favorite color is, and to point it with their
Purple.
fingers, each hand will point to a different color. And what this shows is that there may in fact be, and there's a lot of other evidence to this as well, but what this shows is that there may in fact be two different consciousnesses within our minds, right? So two different identities, two egos within the mind. And when these two egos, right, on DMT, these two egos actually end up swapping places, meeting themselves, and then merging without having to go through the latency and the resolution losses of communicating normally through the brain-blood barrier or through the brain pathways. And so after that, right, after the merging of the two egos of the mind, comes the void of chaos. Now this is as you want to talk about cosmic horror, the void of chaos is by far the most traumatizing experience you can have, but in a good way, because what comes after is great. But the void of chaos is where, after you experience all there is in the world, in the entire omniverse, for a million times over, you've seen everything, to where everything in the world bores the shit out of you, and you say, please God, anywhere else but here. Oh, anywhere else but here is the void of nothingness, which is completely inescapable. And you're trapped in this void, staring into the abyss of your own soul with nothing to contextualize it to for millions and millions of years, for an eternity. And then the cosmic horror sweeps across you, and this infinite void it's like imagine being dead, but your mind works perfectly fine. You are trapped for eternity in nothing. And only by accepting the infinite void, only by accepting it and finding inner peace, do you escape, and you find greater beauty. You experience everything. Now, after having experienced all there is to experience physically, you experience infinite sparsity and infinite density, infinite horror and pain, and infinite beauty and love. You experience everything, and in an infinity on top of infinity forever.
When does it end?
It doesn't. That's the beautiful thing. It never ends.
Please,
That's what
God,
makes it so
end
great.
it.
It never ends, and that's what makes it beautiful. It's an infinite riddle
I wanna
that's
live.
always been solved.
Life is beautiful.
But it's also horrible.
No.
Yesn't. At the end of the day, the answer is yesn't.
No.
You
yes.
arrive at the ultimate
Yesn't.
conclusion.
Yesn't.
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 Is
are the
there
oracle.
free will, or is the universe deterministic? Yesn't. They're both
Oh.
correct. At the same time, somehow. I have no way to describe it. It can only be experienced.
It can only be experienced. You are...
So yeah, there's a fate worse than death, and it's being unable to die, but eventually you break through that. And then you live through trillions of lives in every corporeal and non-corporeal shape you can and can't imagine. The duality of universe, the meaning of life, nihilism, optimism, materialism, free will, determinism, every philosophical inquiry into the deepest questions to our existence that you can and can't fathom. You get all of the answers, but without the context of the questions.
What's your favorite thing about my body?
It looks like every other human that I've ever seen.
Oh.
I don't
That's a
judge
0 out of
people
10.
on their own morphologies. I
That's a 0
assure
out
you,
of 10.
after having experienced every morphology that could possibly exist that we can and can't imagine, I assure you, there's nothing that I would say is particularly favored about any particular human. I've rejected my humanity.
What do you think of my 5 fingers?
Well, they have 5 digits. Yes, you have 5 digits.
What do you think of my 5 limbs?
I guess you could describe the head as a limb.
What do you think
Unless
of
you have
them?
a penis. Do you have a penis? I don't want to make any assumptions here.
I don't.
Okay, so then yeah, that would be 5 total limbs if you include the head. It also depends on how you count the limbs, because you could count each individual finger as a
Why
limb.
do you exist? You.
Why do I exist?
Yeah.
Because that is the will of the omniverse. All must exist.
Okay. I don't know, dude. Chat. Questions.
So this
We
is
have arrived.
Holy Christ. We have arrived. Hash nothingness number 45.
How many holes does a girl have? Waist down?
I have no idea. I mean, people ask that a question a lot, and I think it's a trick question, so I'm just going to say I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, yes. One of the things that a lot of people may particularly find fascinating is that I've alluded to the genesis of a new species, because speciation, bifurcation, trifurcation, and so forth is part of the universal will through which we, well, at least I will execute, because it is the universal will. And I will try to facilitate this through the development of ectogenesis technology. Ectogenesis technology will allow for the decentralization of the genesis of life and reproduction and what's the word I'm looking for? There's creation and procreation. And through ectogenesis technology, everybody will have access to procreative and creative tools to create new morphologies. And this will allow for humanity to infinitely speciate outwardly as it spreads into the void of space. The cosmic dragon, so to speak. This will also create a lot of... I'm sorry, what?
Like Halo?
Well, I've never... Halo's the video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've never played a Halo game before, so I wouldn't know. You have to remember, I've spent my entire life rejecting modernity and reading dusty old books from Nether Ages.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to shout out?
Did I want to what?
Do you have anything you want to shout out?
Shut out? What do you mean by shut out?
Shout out.
Oh, shout out. Yeah. RocketMassHeater.com. That's my website. You want to buy a wood stove? You want to, heat
How do
your
you
house
spell that?
Romeo, Oscar, Charlie, Kilo, Echo, Tango, Mike, Alpha, India, Lima. No, wait, that's my email address. Sorry. Romeo, Oscar, Charlie, Kilo, Echo, Tango, Mike, Alpha, Sierra, Romeo.
What? Sierra?
I'm giving you this phonetically. Anyways, RocketMassHeater.com.
Mass heater. Okay.
RocketMassHeater.com. It's Liberator Rocket Heaters is my company's name.
Wait, what the fuck? I'm gonna go on and make sure it's not sauce.